Explaining Astrea private equity bonds. This video, brought to you by Azalea Asset Management, is for information and education purposes only. There are many bonds out there, but Astrea private equity bonds are a unique series that bridges private equity to you. Here's why it matters. Private equity, which means investing in non-listed companies, is an attractive asset class and is largely invested through private equity funds. The fund managers seek to improve these businesses and, when the time is ripe, sell them for a profit. In fact, the returns from private equity generally outperform public markets over the long term. For most investors, though, it's hard to invest directly in private equity. You may have to invest in a private equity fund, which is not easily accessible. And it'll take a large initial investment locked up over many years. But this changes with Astrea PE bonds. While corporate bonds depend on their businesses to generate cash flows, Astrea PE bonds are backed by cash flows from a diversified portfolio of private equity funds managed by reputable fund managers. The cash generated is then used to pay bondholders principal and interests. With Astrea PE bonds, you gain exposure to private equity funds and can start investing with a much smaller sum, which is tied up for a much shorter time. Also, you may buy or sell them when you want to, as these bonds are listed on the Singapore Exchange. Astrea PE bonds, uniquely transforming private equity into bonds, opening possibilities in an exciting asset class. Astrea 4 Class A1 PE bonds. For the first time ever, retail investors can gain exposure to private equity through Astrea 4 Class A1 private equity bonds. When you buy an Astrea 4 PE bond, you are lending to the issuer for a period of time. The bonds are backed by cash flows from a portfolio of investments in 36 private equity funds, worth a total of $1.1 billion, comprising investments in about 600 companies across many sectors. How does this benefit you? Such diversification helps to minimize the impact of poor performance of any one fund. This Astrea 4 portfolio consists of funds invested mainly in developed economies managed by reputable fund managers, and includes mature funds where their investments are ripe to generate more cash flows. There are also additional structural safeguards. For instance, we reserve cash every 6 months to build up cash for repaying holders of the most senior classes of bonds. We have a trigger in place to lower debt level when it crosses 50%. And we can borrow from a bank to pay your interest if there is a cash flow shortfall. 3 classes of investment-grade bonds will be issued, and retail investors in Singapore can subscribe to the most senior class of Sing Dollar bonds, Astrea 4 Class A1 PE bonds. For more information on the offering, please read our prospectus.
You can apply for Astrea 4 Class A1 PE bonds through the following means: DBS Bank, including POSB, OCBC Bank and UOB Group ATMs and Internet banking websites, as well as the DBS Bank mobile banking platform. The offer will end on the 12th of June 2018 at noon. The prospectus relating to the offering is available for collection at the following banks during their opening hours. Anyone wishing to acquire the securities will need to make an application in the manner set out in the prospectus.